and welcome back to the History Rescuer. My name is India and today I am doing a slightly different video. My job during my day-to-day involves doing a heavy amount of historical research, and for that reason I actually just kind of feel like doing something a little bit different today and sort of showing you some of my more creative stuff that I do. And today I have decided to make a cottagecore pinafore. So for those of you who don't know what cottagecore is, it's kind of a new aesthetic in the same line as punk or preppy or goth, but it sort of revolves more around this idea of pastoralism and this idealized sort of Western agricultural practice. For me, I like this aesthetic because it gives me a very hobbity sort of sense. And I like the practical sort of environmental nature of it, whilst also presenting this really lovely sort of small detailing, lace work, you know, handmade sort of approach to things. Usually my style tends towards more of a dark academia sort of vibe, I guess, vintage, retro, dark academia, you know, a lot of dark colors, crimsons, red lipstick, winged eyeliner, that sort of stuff. But I think that cottagecore kind of marries up nicely with it and complements it. It's kind of a yin to dark academia's yang. So today I'm going to be using a Kwiksew pattern that should only take me a little while, we shall see. And I've never really sewn with a pattern before. I tend to do mock-ups and make patterns for myself. That may change in the future, especially as I continue to pursue more historical sewing. As you guys probably saw in my Women's Land Army breeches video, I found a pattern online and I scaled it to the right size and then made the mock-up as part of that scaling of the pattern and then sort of winged it from there. I won't be taking that approach this time. I will actually be following a pattern properly, which is very new and scary for me, so let's see how I go.
So before I even stepped into making the item, I double checked the measurement of my fabric so that I could lay out the pattern pieces properly. I bought this fabric a couple of months ago and it's been sitting in my stash for a while now, and I completely forgot the measurements, and since when you lay out pieces they've got a special layout that you can follow on the pattern, I decided to figure out what that was so that I could maximize the use of fabric and minimize the amount of waste, in keeping with cottagecore ideals. If I was to use a larger, more distinctive pattern, I would have taken the time to bother with pattern matching and making sure that the seam lines would match up in a way that was pleasing to the eye. But because my pattern was so small, I figured, and quite chaotic, I decided that it was okay to just sort of wing it and let it be. I am not a fan of the cutting out process or the laying out process. I do prefer the sewing aspect. I'm sure that there are many other seamstresses, sewists, maker-upperists out there who would completely agree with me. Let me know in the comments what your favourite part of the sewing process is.
Hello, good morning. It's day 2 and I have already cut out all of my pieces as of last night, which is awesome. The fabric that I've chosen is just a cotton one, but it's got this really cute print on it. I don't know if it's going to focus for me. Yes, it is. There we go. Look at the little bees. So yes, I chose this fabric because it's bright and it's colourful and it makes me happy, and it really reflects those cottagecore sort of aesthetics, which is what I was going for when I was in the midst of isolation. And from the looks of it, we're going to end up in isolation again anyway, so
this pattern requires the use of interfacing as well as a couple of different notions such as buttons and zippers. I decided to forego the zipper because I personally have a vendetta against zippers. They never seem to sit right when I put them in, and I haven't discovered how to put them in all 10 years of my self-taught sewing. So I also feel that I prefer the vintage feel of having button closures instead of zippers. They seem more timeless to me. So instead of following some of the very first steps of the pattern, which are to sew up the seam lines of the skirt panels and then add the zipper in, I actually sewed completely up the back of the skirt seam line and decided to do 2 side closures, which was a significant risk since I told myself I was going to be following the pattern to the T this time, but you know, it may have worked out very well, it may not, and I was happy to just sort of risk it for a biscuit and see where it went. So one of the cool things about this pattern was that it included pockets, which is such a great thing to have, and I really appreciate the fact that modern patterns are actually making a concerted effort to include pockets in the pattern. I probably would have added them in anyway, but now I've also got a very easy to use pocket pattern piece that I can reuse over and over again, similar to what Morgan Donna recently did in her adding pockets to all her dresses video.
Okay, so I have finally done the 2 pieces for the straps. I have got the pocket all sorted out there and pinned down, so that's going to be really lovely. And yeah, it's all looking pretty good. I decided to sew up the diagonal ends instead of the square ends because I'm going to not go by the pattern, and I'm actually going to put the button attachments not on the front bib but on the waistline because I saw something similar on Pinterest.
When I first began sewing, I really underestimated a couple of really crucial habits and steps that are involved in getting a really beautiful finished product. And one of those was ironing down and flat felling all of your seams. I have always been a really bad person when it comes to pressing seams, and it's only in the last sort of year or so that I've noticed the difference by actually putting in the time to iron every piece after it's been sewn together before beginning the next step. Another thing that I definitely underestimated was how important it is to hang your skirts before you hem them. So you should really hang a circle skirt for a couple of days, if not up to a week, just so that the fabric has a chance to stretch properly and sort of even out on the waistband. I hung this one up for 2 or 3 days before I did hem it, and so it is relatively even. I do need to get better at hemming though. As I got further along with this piece, it started to give me more and more Secret Garden vibes, and I really, really love that about it. The Secret Garden was one of my favourite books as a kid, so it's nice to be able to live out a little childhood dream every now and then.
Okay, so I don't know what sort of trim I would like to have on this, if I have any trim at all. I think that maybe the brown could look really pretty on it. It's got a lovely sort of flower pattern on it, and I think it would look really nice and cute and subtle against that, like so. But I do also have a couple of lovely little sort of gingham-y pieces, like, not gingham, whitework pieces. And that could look really cute as well. Or even something smaller like this one. Or I might even go with something a little more delicate, or actually I've got this really lovely, like a hand crocheted lace work that would be quite cute along the edge. It would give it a real cottagey feel, I think. But yeah. Let me know in the comments what you think, because I'm going to finish the skirt and reveal it without a lace on it, and then you guys can let me know and I'll either add one or I won't add one. Let me know in the comments what you think. Well, it's done. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it looks fabulous. All in all, I am getting some serious old MacDonald had a farm vibes from it. It's super comfy. I don't know if it's going to be the best for gardening in as a general rule, just because it is a big floaty skirt essentially, but it does have a great pocket here and on both sides as well. So, I mean, it is relatively practical in that sense. But no, I just really like it. It gives me some lovely cottagecore vibes. It's exactly what I was picturing, except maybe I think if I was to make it again, I would probably taper this in just a little bit, maybe about an inch on either side, or, you know, just so that it sits in a little bit more like so, as opposed to being blocky and sort of hanging. I also would size down because even though the packet said that my waist measurement would be a medium, I definitely have a couple of spare inches, and I definitely could have taken those inches out of the front panel as well. Because the panel at the front does size up according to your size in the pattern. I am also surprised at how well it all turned out in the end, because I got halfway through, as you know, and decided to remove the zipper that was meant to be a back closure on this dress and turn it into 2 side closures. So instead of having the zip, I've got 2 sort of old-fashioned button closures there and buttonholes sewn into that as well. And I managed to be quite clever and only use 2 buttons by actually having the extra strappage sort of come around the side, and it now just attaches onto that button closure as well. So I didn't even need to add extra buttons. If I do size up and down, because I do tend to fluctuate in weight, I will add extra buttons just to expand and decrease my waistline so that it fits a little better at the sides. I think that this can go with a lot of things. I think it's relatively versatile. It'd look cute with a jumper over the top as well. And I'm just really excited to have made a pinafore. I'll definitely be using this pattern again because I think it would be great to expand it into longer dresses as well. And as far as a skirt pattern goes, it's nice and flowy. I do like the slight gathering at the waist. I think it looks really pretty. If I'd done it all through in one day, I think I could have done it in about 5 hours, but that's, I don't chat to enough seamstresses to know if that is a quick amount of time or a short amount of time. As it was, because I was doing it on and off across a couple of days, it took me 3 afternoons essentially to do it. But I'm really excited and I'm really happy to have a nice new piece for my wardrobe and to channel my inner Sherlock Holmes beekeeping retirement dreams. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this one, please like, subscribe and comment to let me know. I do make things quite often, so I would be more than happy to. Thank you so much for watching. This is the History Rescuer, taking a quick break to make some fun things.